Hey, what's up, Hoosier fans? Great to be back here with you. Rhett Lewis, former IU football player and IU color analyst on the IU radio network. Great to be back here talking about the early signing period beginning here for our Indiana Hoosiers. And what a treat to be joined by the new head coach of the Indiana Hoosiers, Coach Curt Cignetti, who has been working his tail off to get this roster ready to roll for next season and to build a winner here in Bloomington. Coach, couldn't be more fired up to get a chance to talk to you. We've been following all of your progress. 31 players coming in here in this class here as you try to build this roster. What a job you've done. Here's what I loved. I loved the post you put out there with the simple message, let's go get players. Right. So how would you kind of describe this high speed and sometimes high stakes effort to get the right players and the best players to bring here to Bloomington?
20 days of 4th and 1.
That's awesome.
That's what it was. I mean, I have yet to see downtown Bloomington in the daylight. And I live in a campus house 3 blocks from town. And I haven't seen the town yet during daylight.
That's the type of commitment it takes, right? When you come in here at the time you did, and knowing when the calendar is. I mean, that's what it takes to build a winner, right? I mean, like that's the commitment that you've had your whole career.
Yeah, I mean, it was crunch time. There were so many things going on. You know, it's my 4th head coaching job, and I feel like I've done this twice before. This kind of turnaround. So it's like, okay, I've done this. What was different was the transfer portal and NIL. Like you come in and you got 10 offensive starters in the portal, you got about 22 guys, which grew. So a lot of your time's roster management. And, you got to get to know the roster. You got to find the portal guys that are out there. You got to try to retain, so on and so forth. But yeah, you're right. Like my wife was kind of on my butt a little bit about working so late. And I went about 5 of the last 6 days and only ate 1 meal. And I tried to explain to her. I said, look, honey, you don't get it. Like these next 5 days are going to play a huge role in what kind of team we have next fall. And you know what? I'm going to tell you something. And I'm usually like not talking too much, under promise, over deliver about recruiting. I'm very pleased with the progress that we have made. We have flipped this roster in 3 weeks. And I can't wait to see these guys when they come in here in January. We'll add 3 to 5 more. And but I'm really optimistic about what we were able to get done, which translates well for the future.
How have you been able to balance the high school players, the high school recruitment now with your coming into IU and then also trying to manage the transfer portal world? Like, do you look at it as transfer portal guys, man, we need to fill holes. High school roster, we need to build depth and build this program for the long term. What's ultimately been your philosophy in that regard to roster building?
Long term, I want to build it with high school guys. But you got to understand that's a 2-year process, developing the relationships, getting them on campus multiple times, and then getting them to sign and then keeping them here, especially the good ones, right?
Yeah.
But when I came in December, the emphasis was the portal because we needed immediate needs, glaring immediate needs. And nowadays, to build a program, you really got to put together seasons. Let's face it. Like the old days, okay, he's got 6 years. You're not going to win till year 3 or 4. Okay.
Right.
That's not today. But the portal and all that enables you to win in year 1. And I've had 2 major rebuilds my first 2 years as head coach, and both of them we won big year 1, and I expect us to win big this fall.
Let's go. Music to my ears, for sure. Coach, you mentioned retaining some players and working on the ones that you wanted to keep and trying to keep them. You were able to get 4 big-time contributors from last year out of the portal, and Donovan McCulley, Carter Smith, Trent Howland, Jordan Greer, at least. And so how did you appeal to that group to try to bring them back for one more run here in Bloomington with you?
Well, I think even the ones that left, you sit them down, you talk about who you are, where you've been, what the program's going to be like, background of success, vision for the program this fall, because a lot of those guys are in their last year. And even the ones that left, I think they saw it and felt it. But guys leave for different reasons. I think McCauley coming back was huge, huge,
Yeah.
and unexpected. I really, I mean, we got the quarterback commit from Ohio U, and about an hour later, Donovan called, and everything I was hearing from people that knew, so to speak, had him pointed to Florida State. But I think he saw the opportunities. Close family, they all wanted to see him play, and one thing we've done a great job of is developing quarterbacks here. They all make player of the year in the conference for
Right.
5 different years. And we've had 2,000-yard receivers 2 last 3 years, and we can help him elevate his game and achieve his goals.
Man, that's awesome. Certainly awesome to see. And then how do you balance? Because I think we're all still trying to get to know, and I've watched, some of your games at JMU these last couple of years. How do you balance what you want offense, defense, and kicking game to look like while also having to maybe tailor and tinker with your scheme a little bit to fit the personnel that you end up with here for this team?
Well, my background as an assistant is on the offensive side of the ball, mainly with the quarterbacks, some with receivers, tight ends, but a lot of time as a recruiting coordinator too. So I'm very involved in the offensive staff meetings, but I don't call the plays. I'll interject now and then. I do steer the offensive direction. Now, look, the core offense is the core offense, but where does it go from there? Depends on the quarterback, the O-line, the receivers, the running backs. So we've had pocket guys become players of the year, threw for 44 touchdowns, 4 interceptions, over 4,000 yards. We've had dual threat guys make conference player of the year. And, that's so I think we do a pretty good job there. Part of my job also, however, is to make sure that we're not putting the defense in a bad spot, because at the end of the day, I'm a head coach, right? And so the offense, defense, special teams complement one another. And defensively, we're number one against the rush, number one in sacks, high in TFLs. We've never given up make points, and our special teams have been really, really good.
Yeah.
So, you got to win the game. That's the bottom line. So, I think we got a blueprint. You're always trying to improve your blueprint, but we've had success, and we're going to continue to have success.
Yeah. I got a chance to watch Curtis Rourke's brother, Nathan, when he was coming out of Ohio a few years ago, called one of his games an all-star game. Feels like, man, that's a family of competitors. That's a family of dudes who, if you tell them no, they keep coming. And he's obviously a super talented guy. How do you envision his role here and what he can ultimately bring to this team in this offense?
He reminds me of Philip Rivers a little bit, who I had at NC State. He knows how to play quarterback. Like Tom Brady knew how to play quarterback, right? Rivers knew how to play quarterback. Playing quarterback is a lot more than a physical skill set. And he's got 3 years of a starter under his belt. He's thrown for almost 8,000 yards, 50 plus TDs, very few interceptions. He runs for 250 yards a year for a 6'5", 230-pound guy. He's won a lot of games the last 2 years. And he's experienced. And that's valuable. And that's what I look for in the portal. Like, I know what I like and what I don't like. And I got a few new coaches, and you're having to educate them. Like, I'm not really looking for that second or third team guy from Georgia that has, oh, coach, he got great potential. When he puts it together, no, I'd rather take a guy that's got 2-3 years of production under his belt, because there's something about that guy that's been through the grind, stick-to-itiveness, understanding how to handle success, failure, staying consistent over the long run, injury-free. This guy's done all that. He's been player of the year in the league. Now, he knows he's got to come in and earn it, but, we recruit him for a reason.
Yeah, no doubt. And you're able to get 2 freshmen in as well. One you were very familiar with that was a previous JMU commit. One that came in and kind of got turned around into the Hoosiers' favor here in the last couple of days in Tyler Cherry, which is awesome. And then obviously Taven Jackson, Brock Lowry have been here in Bloomington. What's your message to those guys in terms of competition?
Everything's earned, not given. There's none given. So now reps are limited. That's the challenge. I think Tyler Cherry is a huge, huge addition. First of all, I'm very high on him as a football player and his potential and our ability to develop him. He's an outstanding person, outstanding student. It's a great family. It's in state. It's 40 minutes down the road. It's going to open a lot of doors in recruiting in 25. And I'm extremely excited about him for a lot of different reasons. Mendoza is a winner. I mean, the guy competes at the highest level. He is a terrific kid. He won a state championship. He is cool like Joe Montana. Guy can play. And I'm learning about the other ones that are here.
That's right. And then, Coach, as you look elsewhere on the offense, went on a bit of a tear earlier this week in the wide receiver room, bringing in three different guys that come in from established players at the college football level, kind of like you've been talking about, that put up some serious production in Miles Price, Miles Cross, Keyshawn Williams. What does that group kind of help do with this receiver room that you mentioned, bringing Donovan McCulley back, EJ Williams, Cam Perry? I know you're probably trying to get to know here a little bit as well. But what do those new additions in that wide receiver room do for that group as a whole?
Well, we felt like we had to rebuild that room, and especially when McCulley was in the portal, because really the only guy coming back, with production, and he had missed 5 games, was EJ. Now Cooper had some production too as a young guy, but a lot of the other ones went in the portal. So, Donovan coming back was a real plus. Getting another outside guy, Cross, was a must. Getting a true slot that can play, that you can move around and play outside. Also, Williams, we needed that. You're talking about guys that have caught, 40 plus balls. Over 2-3 years. And then Price is a dynamic, slot, 44, 46 catches the last 2 years, but also one of the top punt returners in America.
That's right.
And will be a great kickoff guy. So, we're still looking there. We're not done. We had another commitment or two, and then, some of these guys saw the numbers and got scared off. I'm still looking for another vertical outside threat. And, we've got a couple. We'll add one in time because you got to have the full arsenal.
Yeah.
And anybody that's scared off by competition, I've never known a great one that cared about the depth chart. So if we're recruiting a guy and he's worried about the depth chart, we're recruiting the wrong guy.
Got that right. And I feel like that slot position can be so nuanced. And you got 2 guys who've got 2,600 reps of playing in a slot in college football there in Williams and Price, in addition to the rest of that position group. So a lot of fun.
Remember
there.
Too, I mean, we're going to be in 10 personnel some also.
Two slots.
Yeah, exactly.
I love it. And then as you look on the offensive line, obviously Carter Smith, played some pretty good football last year at left tackle, familiarity with Coach Bostad. How have you kind of seen the transformation with that group, and you bring in, Wisconsin transfer as well that Coach Bostad's familiar with? What does that group look like to you?
This thing's really come together. We may be looking to add one more piece to it. There's a couple of names I can't talk about. But, I think before it's all said and done, we'll have the ability to improve upon last year very significantly.
Awesome. Defensively, you guys rushing the passer, something you and Coach Gaines, Coach Kuntz have been able to develop and produce at a very high level at James Madison. Obviously, it looked like we got some of those players, some of those types of players coming in this class. What is rushing the passer? How have you guys been so successful in that regard, and how does this group help you in that effort?
Well, the whole philosophy of the defense, since I went to JMU and hired Corey Heatherman, who then went to Rutgers, and then I hired Bryant Haynes, who's been with me 10 years, but been the coordinator 3, and he is outstanding, and he's taken that defense and really branched it out. Everything revolves around the front guys. Sacks, TFLs, stop the run. We put a little pressure on the DBs at times, but we really, the last 2 years, played a lot more zone. We used to play a bunch of press man. We don't do that anymore. So, rush. Let's face it, you got to have quickness and speed to rush the passer well. And but we've got guys here that can do that. We're adding guys that can certainly do that. And I really like what we've done defensively up front and at linebacker. Now we got a little work to do yet at safety.
What are the guys? Who are some of the guys up front, as you mentioned, in the D line and the linebacker room that really kind of excite you about their potential here for production with IU
You talking about the guys on last year's team?
in this class?
The new guys.
Yeah.
There's only one I can really talk about, and that's
Gotcha.
Kamara.
Yeah.
Who had a bunch of sacks and TFLs for us last year at JMU. He's not playing in the bowl game. So, and then, there's a handful of guys that were on the team last year that can play winning football.
Awesome. Loved it. Are there, you mentioned there's, you may have 3 to 5 more guys come before school starts outside of this group. Are there areas in particular that you still would like to focus on as you try to mold this roster?
Yeah, we got to get a long snapper. Number one, I'd like to add a couple safety rover guys still. We're looking for one more O lineman. Still looking for that vertical outside guy. I'm talking about an outside guy, not only runs fast, but it's a good receiver.
Sure.
And we got a couple of them. Now, all these other guys that we sign are really good players.
Yeah.
But you're always looking for those one-play touchdowns.
And lastly,
go ahead.
Apologize, Coach. Lastly, here, as as you look at your coaching staff and some of the familiarity you have with that group, and then some familiarity within this group of new players in this 31 person class here in this early signing period, how does that familiarity help you install your vision for what this Hoosiers team ultimately competes like, plays like, practices like, and ultimately produces on the field?
Well, one of the things that's really helped me in my head coaching career is I've had good staff continuity. Bryant Haynes has been with me 10 years. Mike Shanahan, the offense coordinator, been with me 9 years. My strength and conditioning guy, 6. I've got other guys working on 6. My special teams guy. So that helps because they know me, they know our philosophy. I mean, we're always looking to improve what we do, but I mean, we definitely have a way of doing things. I mean, I'm not looking for answers. I feel like we have the answers. It's just a matter of getting the most out every day. And then, flipping the roster, I think, was huge because when you've had 3 bad years in a row, here's what happens. You got one group of guys that have a chip on their shoulder and they want to prove everybody wrong. And those are the guys you want to keep. And then you got another group of guys that have succumbed to the negativity, pointing fingers, giving up, uncoachable, inconsistent on and off the field. I'm just going to say it. You're better off without them. And the portal takes care of it because they go in the portal. It's easy, right? So You're looking to bring in a bunch of guys that have done it on the football field between the white lines and won a bunch of games. Now, not every guy comes from a team that won 9 games, but most of them are. Most of these guys are. And bringing in this new blood with the existing guys here that really want to get this done. And now it's our job to mold them, right? Develop them, mold them, create the identity, culture, mindset, the way we play, the way we train, the way we approach every day.
Can't wait to see it. Can't wait to see it all come together for sure. Coach Cignetti, thanks for giving us a few minutes of your time. It's been a lot of fun to get to know you here a little bit and to get to see just all the great work that you've done in such a short period of time here, and to know that the work isn't finished and that there's a lot more to get done, but we can't wait to watch it. Coach, thanks again for giving us a few minutes of your time. Appreciate it today.
Appreciate it.